Dear Catholic communicators, thank you for inviting me to share introductory remarks at your refresher program. As you reflect on Laudato Si, I encourage you to consider Laudate Deum and Fratelli Tutti as well. Your program addresses how media and communication professionals like yourselves can contribute to an integral ecology that supports sustainable development. How can powerful media tools increase respect and care for our common home? And how can media avoid being used to promote unethical responses? Pope Francis describes how media and communications can hurt society and ecology. Overwhelming volume is part of the problem. The overabundance of information, mental pollution, can keep us from learning how to live wisely, to think deeply, and to love generously. This limits the space needed to reflect clearly and deeply on significant issues. Moreover, we filter out opinions and perspectives that differ from our own. We no longer dialogue with those whom we have categorized, one way or another, either to be unfairly discredited or to be praised to the skies. Who benefits from this noisy potpourri of facts and opinions? Nowadays, the loudest media voices propagate partial realities and half-truths that ignore the injuries inflicted upon the poor and our common home. The resulting blindness allows harmful attitudes, practices, and policies to get a start and to grow. Who benefits most? The elite and the powerful. Negative impacts include forced migration, loss of livelihood, racism, unjust imprisonment, illness, and even death. Besides reinforcing power structures that hurt people and nature, loud media voices can also perpetrate the technocratic paradigm. This happens when media are naive and uncritical about greenwashing, the so-called ecological technologies that obscure the damage they cause. Pope Francis calls for a truly integral ecology, which always becomes a social approach. It must integrate questions of justice in debates on the environment so as to hear both the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. The technocratic paradigm thrives on ignoring the voices and experiences of the poor. Too often, communicators do not hear the cry of the poor because they lack direct contact with them. And not hearing the cry, they cannot report it. Having such contact is an important corrective to the manipulation that occurs in society. Otherwise, political propaganda, the media, and the shapers of public opinion will continue to promote an individualistic and uncritical culture subservient to unregulated economic interests and societal institutions at the service of those who already enjoy too much power. Pope Francis not only names the pitfalls that affect professionals like you are likely to fall into, he also identifies tools that can serve integral ecology, that is, to help care for our common home. For example, the world sings of an infinite love, according to Laudate Deum. This song of praise to God is what an integral ecology amplifies. Media can promote care for creation by echoing this song. By learning to see and appreciate beauty, we learn to reject self-interested pragmatism. Media professionals can draw close to splendid places in the world and to the people who live there and share the beauty and echo their voices. Another way to advance integral ecology is to be more intentional about the purposes of communication. Let us focus on two of them: on education, which connects with the principle of subsidiarity, and on information, which underpins solidarity. Communication that educates helps those suffering the stresses in nature and society to analyze what's happening and formulate responses. This prepares them to be effective partners of more distant actors who, guided by subsidiarity, wish to see them lead in achieving the common good. Communication that informs creates bonds of awareness, generates networking, connects those struggling in bonds of solidarity. Fratelli Tutti says that media professionals need constantly to ensure the present-day forms of communication are in fact guiding us to generous encounter with others, to honest pursuit of the whole truth, to service, to closeness to the underprivileged, and to promotion of the common good. This is to educate and promote awareness. Laudato Si reminds us that ecological education can take place in a variety of settings, at school, in families, in the media, in catechesis, and elsewhere. Communicators can assist others who educate and inform. You can collaborate with families and church parishes, organizations, and projects. Subsidiarity is key to effective international agreements. The demands that rise up from below throughout the world, where activists from very different countries help and support one another, can end up pressuring the sources of power. It is to be hoped that this will happen with respect to the climate crisis. Subsidiarity is at the service of media professionals who, as a group, can influence higher levels and who can show solidarity with others who are trying to influence. Dear Catholic communicators, here you have your challenges and opportunities, which Laudate Deum identifies as a response to new problems and to react with global mechanisms to the environmental, public health, cultural, and social challenges, especially in order to consolidate respect for the most elementary human rights, social rights, and the protection of our common home. In this introduction, I have mentioned the challenges of information overload and media noise. Public discourse that tells half-truths and consciously avoids some realities to the benefit of the powerful and the detriment of the weak. The essential connection of the social and natural worlds in integral ecology. Wonder at God's loving creation. How communications supports solidarity and subsidiarity by educating and informing. And finally, the value of collaboration. May God abundantly bless your vital mission and ministry in the Church and throughout society. Thank you. Bye-bye.